Going on, you guys? It is October 23rd, and I just wanted to update a couple things on the 180 upstairs in the living room. I was dealing with a bit of a Bryopsis issue. I had a couple of patches that were growing on a few of the rocks. And this is not the first time I've dealt with this, but I don't think I've ever made a video about it. And so I treated it with this product, this Fluconazole product from Marine Depot called Flux, I think. And so it's like a powder that you mix, and then I turned off all of the valves so that this tank was sectioned off from the rest of the filtration downstairs, and just cycled on this tank for 3 days without any skimming or carbon or anything like that. And it completely removed all signs of the Bryopsis. And this is not the first time that I've done this. And maybe once every 6 months or so, a couple patches of the Bryopsis will pop up. And it is completely 100% gone. And there were no negative side effects to the tank. The only thing was I had to adjust some alkalinity and calcium dosing downstairs, because I was dosing one less tank for a few days. But this tank saw zero negative impacts. I was a little nervous about the corals. I've added a few pieces of SPS just to kind of check and test. If you've watched my other videos, you know that I went through a alkalinity issue earlier in the year, right around the time that COVID hit. I had sold off a bunch of coral, and my alkalinity shot through the roof, and it took a while to get it back in line. But as I'm kind of walking around the tank, you can see all of this new growth on all of these corals, whether it's the LPS, the SPS. There's a ton of new growth, especially you can always tell on like the purple Stylophora, the tips get white, and there is just a ton of growth. The lights, if you watched my last video, I added the two Reef Bright XHO strips, loving them. The tank pops. The colors, I'm seeing new colors in all of the corals. Everything has responded really well. I run those lights from 9 to 6 every day, and then the Kessels are still doing the bulk of the lighting with a 4-hour T5 period. So I'm just really bathing this tank in light, and all of the corals, you can just see everything's fat here and happy, growing, all of that stuff that I dealt with. These are my test SPSs, and they're all doing great. New growth, they're encrusting on the rocks, which to me is always a good sign that things are going well. This torch is still my favorite coral in the tank, growing new heads. Big thumbs up if you're dealing with, and I've heard people use this for hair algae as well. I've never had a hair algae issue, but I do have this Bryopsis issue that pops up every once in a while. And I can say definitively, I just followed the instructions on the box. I basically used the entire container over 2 doses over 2 days. And there were, for me, 0 negative impacts. I did take my refugium offline downstairs. I wiped out my Chaetomorpha before doing this. So I'm hoping that with the refugium offline and just kind of cycling on its own for a few days, I'll save that from happening again, because there is some algae growing in the refugium. But frankly, what really matters is that the display tanks look good. And if I don't have algae in the refugium, oh well. Just kind of giving you a quick shot of the lights. Everything looks great. I just really couldn't be more happy with the state of this tank up here right now. Fish, corals, everything has just been kind of on autopilot. Everything's looking great. I've been slowly adding some new corals here and there. And just really, really enjoying this tank. Same with the tank downstairs. But I just wanted to throw this update up. If you're having an issue with Bryopsis, I cannot recommend strongly enough. I believe it's called Reef Flux. It's a Fluconazole product. I'm assuming that any Fluconazole product would work. That just happens to be the one that I used. But if you've got questions, feel free to throw them in the comments, and I'll try to get another update video up soon. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and feel free to like, subscribe, all of those good things. Thanks.